thank you very much for your introduction. I'm Hanuk Park from South Korea. But today I'm not presenting my country. I am coming here because of the this journal, Quality and Quantity. So I'm giving you overview of this journal, and then I am having about 20 minutes to make a presentation. So I'm going to go through very quickly about slide, and then I will take the questions from you. Okay? Yeah. So. As a matter of fact, I am, editor-in-chief of the 3 international journals. And then, the Quality and Quantity is the Sustainable journal, it's the most prestigious journal. And then, Journal of Contemporary Eastern Asia, this is the, another journal, I'm chief editing, and both journals are indexed in Scopus. I think you know Scopus, right? So, both journals are indexed in Scopus. And then another journal, the third journal is a Rosa journal. This is a baby journal. It was established last year. So this is the second year. Okay? So, but I'm going to focus on the quality and quantity, for this session. And then I have been, founder or the director of several institutes and then scholarly association. One of the scholarly association related to this conference, you can see here, Triple Helix, right? So the conference title for this university, Merito University, we have the Triple Helix. The Triple Helix represents university, industry, government. And now we are expanding Triple Helix to the quadruple helix, and then quintuple helix, and tuple helix. So we are inviting more actors. Actors means helix. And then so this is the Triple Helix Association. I founded this association more than 10 years ago. Okay. Okay. And then let me start with the front page of our journal, Quality and Quantity. And then the subtitle, you have to look at the subtitle, International Journal of Methodology. So the quality means qualitative research methodology, for example, interview, right? And then quantity refers to the quantitative method, for example, survey and metric, right? And so we say the International Journal of the Methodology. And then this journal, has been very popular, in Europe, and European people are coming in, and but we would like to go beyond Europe. That is why, I am here, and I'm new chief editor, and then as you can see, I'm not a European. Europe and non-European scholars. Okay.
So how likely are we to Europeanize you?
You are using my time, so I don't want to answer because I have only 20 minutes.
Just kidding.
Okay. This is the second journal I mentioned, the Journal of Contemporary Eastern Asia. So if you are interested in the submitting your research related to the Asia, or and then you can submit this journal rather than quality and quantity. And this is another journal I'm chief editing, also Scopus. And this is the new journal, ROSA. We call it ROSA refers to the research output as scientific essay or science essay. Research output as a science essay. This is the new baby journal, okay? But like I told you, I'm going to focus on the quality and quantity, during this session. Springer actually, contacted me, summer of 2019, and then, they said, the founding editor, Professor Victor Capecci, he is the most prestigious scholar in Italy, and then he is going to resign, the chief editor of this journal. And he has been about almost 50 years. And then they were looking for the new chief editor. And then they contacted me, summer 2019. That's quite a long time ago. And then they want me to take over, this position, chief editorship. So my new editorship started, 2020. So it's already, 5 years have passed, right? 5 years have passed. And then, after 5 years, I recently had the, second invitation from Springer. So your 5 year was so successful. So they want to, me to continue another 5 years. And so this, editorial was written in 2020 for my first, tenure of my chief editorship. So what I emphasized here, this journal, has been very, prestigious in Europe, but I would like to broaden leadership and then authorship, right? Asia and Pacific, and then also that's what Springer wants. Okay, they want to go beyond Europe. That is why I put the guest editorial here. And then what I say here, the academia, we say the word publish or perish, right? Publish or perish. But I would like to change the paradigm, or collaborate or fall behind. Okay? So new paradigm is coming, collaborate or fall behind, which means I prefer to publish the article, with multiple authors rather than single author papers. You mean? So, if there are so many papers are coming in, and then we cannot send out all the papers for external review, in that case, I prefer, collaborative papers, rather than single author. Why? Because everything getting into the interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, right? And so this is a collaborator point behind the new paradigm, and then I emphasize this here. Okay, let me give you the very quick review. Okay, here number of articles received for publication in the reporting period from the 2022 and then 2024. So about 600 manuscripts, which means 200 articles published per year. 200 articles. It's a lot actually, right? And then, what about our rejection rate? About 70%. 70%. So, we reject, 70%, and then we publish, 30%. Okay? And then our journal is very highly ranked in Italy National Research and Evaluation System, particularly in the field of the statistics and then economics. So this is a key look at acceptance and rejection and then submissions. And then publishers, Springer, they do not wanna, give the very detailed, statistics about the submission, number of submissions, number of desk rejection, number of first round revision, number of second round revision. They do not wanna, review the information, because of the, kind of the computation informations. So, when you are submitting something, you are logged in as author, okay? And then when you are doing a review, you are logged in the reviewer or evaluator, right? And then, but when I logged in, my role is editor-in-chief. So the screen and the information I'm getting is totally different from yours. So I'm sharing some of the information, what I'm getting when I, logged in. For example, you submit the paper, okay, and then this is the, quality and quantity system. I very quickly, see these information overall similarity score, see 34%, right? And then I certification percentage of single source, 3. So there is no absolute criterion, to desk reject overall similarity score. But in general, below 30 or below 20, so no more than 30 is desired. Okay, and then even there is the automatic detection system but they put the note need checking or they need manual checking by the editor. Okay, in that case, this is why, because some papers are very much complicated with lots of the equations and lots of the quotations. In this case, the manual checking, and here confirm paper mill. This is automatically tagged. Okay, automatically tagged. So a paper mill detecting system is available from Springer. So we have this kind of detecting information. So very much different from the authors. So editor-in-chief, we can see that these people what they are doing. And reviewer selection and desk rejection may be determined by the prior performance. What does it mean? Nowadays, many journals, actually, journal editors, desk reject, take submissions. You know why? Because we do not have enough reviewers. There are already insufficient number of reviewers. So we cannot send the papers for external review, So you submit something like this gentleman, sends, submit the paper, and then, I have to find out, first of all, desk reject or send it out for external review. So what can I do? And then, I see, the performance of this person, in a relation with our journal. Okay, how many, papers he reviewed, and then, or either, how many papers he contributed, how many papers he published, for example, and then if there is a special remark, you can see breach of the editorial policy, suggesting inappropriate reviewer, citation manipulation by author. So I see this kind of note, and then I mostly likely to desk reject in this case. And what some people, they contributed, a lot of the review evaluations. And in that case, given their contribution in the past, and then I'm least likely to desk reject. Okay. So and then people, managing editor said, even though he has reviewed many times, it's the useless reviews. Okay. So this kind of note we are getting, and sometimes desk rejection takes a long time. Yeah, this is the complaint, I have been receiving. You know why? Because I received many submissions, and then I assign several papers to associate editor or managing editor. Okay, so I assign, your paper to the Professor Arturus, and then so I did it very quickly. But Professor Arturus, he is on a business trip, and then he does not, have time to come back to his desk for a month. And then, in this case, I cannot control. And then, people they complain. And then, in this case, I say, I understand your frustration, and I regret the delay in the process. And then I emailed, Professor Artu, my associate editor. He's not my associate editor, just example. Okay, he, so this kind of case happens. So
I just have a question. What does it mean a long time? Does it mean 1 month or 6
yeah,
months?
that's kind of time is a very relative, relative concept. Time is a very relative concept. But if you go to the front page of the journal, say submission to first decision, median is 22 days.
Which is
Okay.
okay.
Yeah. So I make the desk rejection or either send out for external review. That I make it very quickly. But sometimes I cannot control my associate editors. That is what I'm saying. This is why I'm suggesting you to contact the chief editor or the handling editor when you do not receive any email or there is no information about the reviewing activities. So when editor assigned or with the editor, if this information is continued, like the 1 month, you should contact and then saying complain. And And this is a very interesting, case. And then I really, like to, share. Well, it's already 15 minutes going. Some reviewers are quite thoughtful and not at all aggressive. What does it mean? Sometimes, editor-in-chief or handling editor, they send revised version to the another totally different reviewer from the first round. And this really, going to be crazy for authors. I know. But, editors, are not certain, to accept or not. Okay? And in this case, we send the papers to the, different, reviewers. Why? The reviewers from first round, they declined. But I like to confirm with the external reviewer. And then in this case, it's really crazy. But like I say, some reviewers are quite thoughtful. They say, I do not see the peer review process as a substitute for scientific debate. Okay? Sometimes, that, the reviewers, they want to make the scientific debate with the authors, which means they never admit somebody else, research. Right? Yeah. So when he said the review process as he does not think a substitute of scientific debate. And he thinks, even though he is not, totally convinced about the research, but he thinks that this is the well-organized paper. Okay? So we meet this kind of reviewer, and then I also would like to be this kind of editor. Even though I do not, think, I totally agree with, this approach, or this theory, or this direction, or this philosophy. But this paper very well argued, well written, well organized, I accept it. And then same with this reviewer. Okay? And then some reviewers, you can see the, citation push, or citation push or citation manipulations, which means reviewers, they are doing a review because they are attracting citations for their own papers, right? Yeah, and then authors, they think that I have to abide by, I have to cite, references suggested by reviewers, right? But I monitoring all of these activities. I am monitoring all of activities. So, reviewers say, to strengthen your links to the recent literature. And then I check, wow, all of them are belonging to him, reviewer, okay? And then, the author, might say, like, as strongly requested by the reviewers, here we cite some reference. And then I am monitoring this kind of the, very ridiculous thing, and then I write to the email to the authors. You don't have to cite the references suggested by reviewers if they are irrelevant. And then I put the note. How? You saw that this. I put the note here. Okay. I put the citation manipulation by author or by a reviewer. Okay, so this is what we are doing. Do you understand? Yeah. And then quality, quantity, and then we have this decision: accept but incomplete. Accept but incomplete. This is like there are 2 reviews or 3 reviews, multiple reviews. They do not agree, with each other. Okay, and then author, they do not know what to do. And because the first reviewer asked the author to, get rid of this paragraph. And second reviewer says, you have to strengthen and then, this paragraph, right? And then I'm reading all the reviews, and then also a response, author's response, and then I make a decision. Okay, I like to accept your paper. It's fair, but you have to try your best, to do your best. Do your best, to acknowledge the criticism from the negative reviewers. Okay, this is accept but incomplete. So I'm trying to be very regional, reviewer, editors. Okay. Yeah, this is also another ridiculous thing. proofreading is not a revision, but some authors, they got accepted. And then they, they received the proofreading manuscript, right? But they would like to change the content. This is really, it's not possible. And then I said, if we would like to, revise, revise or not, fix the typo, not correcting the typo or fixing the missing references. You like to revise the paper, you have to start from the beginning, from the scratch. You understand? But some people, they really, request this kind of things. I don't know why. Probably several, reasons. In this case, I give them warning, this kind of warning. And then nobody wants to start from the beginning, because we don't know about the, result, okay? And then transparency policy. So we have the several associate editors and then guest editors. Here is our guest editor, for special issue, right? And then we have the transparency policy. So you must declare in the competing interest declaration sections, and then they are not allowed to conduct their own papers. Okay, this is we are very strict, and Springer is very strict, and then we are monitoring, we are watching, transparency policies. Okay, can I have the yeah, and then authorship dispute after publication. This is a very normal flow chart. Yes and no, step by step. We do this. But I do not want you, to have this kind of authorship dispute, because once you have this kind of authorship dispute, and then you will get some private note, private memo on your author systems. Okay. Here is this is my compliment. This I started this chief editorship 2020. Okay. And then this is the evaluation 2021 from the authors, and then 98% of authors who responded to the journal satisfaction survey. They are satisfied with the journal management. Okay. This is the Q&A. The one of the Oxford University professor, he has been some research about the journal practice and the journal management, and then he wanted to interview with me about how I'm doing. So the questions made by the Oxford professor, and then answers written by myself, and then he asked me several questions about my personal research background, and then how I got involved with the this Q&Q, and then I answered. So the major reason I received the invitation from Springer to be the new chief editor back to the 2020. Here, this article. 2019, there was article, Half a Century of Quality and Quantity, a bibliometric review. This article was published by these two researchers. And then, in this article, identified me. Hanuk Park has published several articles, Quality and Quantity. And then citations to the Hanuk Park's publication are the highest among the other publications in quality quantity. And then, thanks to this article, Springer, when they were looking for the new chief editor, and then they contacted me. So that is why I had I did not know these authors, these researchers at all, but I visited Spain 2 years ago, where I met the Professor Artur, and then I emailed them, these persons, and then I am visiting the Spain for the first time, and then if possible, I like to meet you face to face, So they came from Madrid to the Barcelona. So we had the Merito together, and then I told them, thanks to your article, I received the invitation from the Springer. And then, to my surprise, they were married couple. They were married couple, and then he is one of my associate editors now. He is one of my associate knowledge, and then he is expert in the one of the methodology called the I tell you, it does not come up on my mind now. So okay, this is the thing, and also so it says that what is the most difficult challenges and the most rewarding aspect of the job. I told you that finding the reviewers is the most difficult job. Okay, and then what is the most rewarding thing is to expand my research network. And then here also I am representing quality and quantity, and then this is the most rewarding. Okay, and then I also introduced the new series of the associate editors to the preliminary manuscript evaluations. And so this part is working really very good. And then associate editors, even though it's the volunteer job, and then they are doing very good, and then they are helping me a lot. So associate editors, including guest editors, they are helping me, and then that is why we can process 200 manuscripts per year for the publication. We received much more than publication, like I told you, because the rejection rate is 70%, but we published the 200. Okay, and then some people or some countries like Korea are very much enthusiastic about Web of Science indexation, because the quality and quantity was Web of Science indexed. But why it dropped out of the Web of Science? I don't know. And then that is the moment I received the invitation. Okay, so I know, but I cannot tell you. That is why there was editorial shift. Okay, so that is why Web of Science is very important. I know, but Springer they are not really care about the Web of Science. Okay, and then but anyway it dropped out of Web of Science in 2018, and then they contacted me summer 2019. So they think I'm the right person, and then and Web of Science they do not receive new journals for the SCI or SSCI and HCI. Instead, they made the ESCI, that Emerging Source Citation Index, right? So they are shifting from the traditional scheme SCIE, SSCI, A and HCI to the ESCI. So currently, some journals included in ESCI, their journal citation impact is higher than SCIE journals or SSCI journals. So this Web of Science system is changing, and but the Q&Q is the Scopus, and then we have a very high ranked. Okay, and then to be honest with you, I actually do not want Q&Q to be indexed in the Web of Science. Why? Because more labor, more time and effort. Because we are already we are swamped with about 1,000 submissions. So and then if we index it again, and then more people are coming. All right. Okay. And then also there is the special issue guideline. So I formulated a very strict special issue guideline. Okay. So I am finishing now. And then, okay, here, research ethics. As you can see, nowadays, like retraction.com, and then some, very, scholarly website or scholarly, the institute, they are watching us. Everyone watching us, including, so, we also have to monitoring what we are doing. And this is all I can say. And then I spent 30 minutes. Sorry about it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.